Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Screen Junkies Universe. Ross Cornett is away today on Screen Junkies business, so I'm joined by this fantastic panel. Billy Biz stepping up to the table.
What's going on?
Spencer J. Gilbert here as always, and you can't spell Wednesday without Ed. I was going to say Ed Greer, but you can't spell Wednesday without Ed Greer.
Yeah.
But you can't spell Wednesday without Ed. Ed, thanks for joining us.
Oh, dude, thank you guys for having me. This is, well, it's every Wednesday, but still. Thank you guys every time for having me.
Kind of used to it by now.
We couldn't figure out a way to not, disinvite you, so...
It was just momentum, right? You got to break the inertia somehow.
We have a lot of interesting things to get to today. One of the stars of Jaws, I can't wait to talk about this, launching a special edition.
Hell yeah.
Narnia coming to Netflix. We talked about this a little bit at 11:18 our time. In about 12 minutes, the president is apparently texting everyone in the country, so all of our phones will go off simultaneously. That'll be fun on the air.
Front and center, just waiting.
We are going to announce the contestants in tomorrow's debut death match on Movie Fights. Woo. But before we do any of that, there's a little unfinished business that we have to take care of. You at home are not aware of this. I was not aware of this until last night. We had a 16 candle situation here at Screen Junkies yesterday. One of our own had a birthday that none of us knew about or were told about. Spencer J. Gilbert. Spencer. Yesterday was Spencer's birthday, and nobody knew. So happy birthday, Spencer.
Hey,
number one.
thanks, guys.
And I know better late than never, but we have treats. We have
treats.
birthday treats for you.
Can we tell?
You can eat them now. You
can we
eat them
tell
later.
the sad story?
Yeah, if you want. Sure.
So it's maybe 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. You and Roth were gone at the Venom screening.
Yeah.
Ryan was gone. Lon was gone. It was quiet in the office. Max, the other producer, went to go talk to David Pacman about getting cupcakes for. I don't even know who it's for something completely unrelated. Spencer walks out with the. Okay, I guess it's time. So he just stands out there with his hands in his pockets by the desk, waiting. We're all sitting out there what? What?
No.
He's like, yeah, it's my birthday today. We're like, oh, really? Actually? We're like,
yeah, it's pretty sad. I thought it was coming a number of times, on SJU yesterday. When Roth is like, I'm going to say something nice about everyone. I'm like, oh, here it comes. It's my birthday.
Nope. This is why you have a Facebook, Spencer.
I'm not. Don't believe any imitators. I'm not on the FB.
Also, 2 years ago when I started working here, I added all of you guys on Facebook, and Spencer was the only one that didn't accept my friend request, and I had a little mini beef, kind of hurt my feelings a little bit. Come to realize, not Spencer, not Spencer J. Gilbert. So,
happy birthday, Spenny. I'm sorry that I did not know it was your birthday. I hope that this helps make up.
Let's talk about Jaws, Dan.
While Spencer eats those cookies, let's talk about Jaws. Richard Dreyfuss, he's been making the rounds lately. He had an interview with Deadline where he proposed a way that he thinks that Jaws could come back and make even more money with one caveat. All it would require is a digital effects team and a killer makeover for the shark. This is what he had to say, and I will do this in my best Richard Dreyfuss voice.
I think they should do it. It would be huge and it would open up the film to younger people. Is that blasphemy? No, I don't think so. The technology now could make the shark look as good as the rest of the movie. He went on to say, there are people who say Jaws is a perfect film otherwise, and it is amazing what Steven accomplished with the challenges he had, but they should come put the money into CGI to replace that beast and make it come alive.
So, Richard Dreyfuss publicly floating the idea of re-releasing Jaws, but replacing the shark with CGI to make it updated. Apparently, he's not happy with the way the shark looks. He doesn't think it's up to par with the rest of the film. Guys, I have very strong ideas on this, but I want to start with you.
You could fix that shot.
Yeah, that shot you can fix. I was surprised that shot made the movie, if I'm being honest. I've always thought that was a glaring error that was in the film.
Riding his unicycle in the middle of the ocean.
He's from Portland.
Let's start with... It's on a unicycle. Let's start with Jaws, and then we'll move out to other movies. What do you guys think of this idea?
Well,
where to begin, Dan?
I think
ahead, Billy.
There's the much talked about Star Wars special editions, there was one that actually bothers me more than Han shot first. In The Empire Strikes Back, originally when Luke is hanging from the Wampa cave, you just hear growls in the background, and maybe you see an arm, and you're like, get out, get out. I don't know what that thing is, get out, get out. But then they like replace it, and he's just chilling in his living room, eating some KFC. And it took away a lot of like for me, the intensity of that scene. And I think that's exactly what would happen with Jaws. The more you see of this shark, and you know if they're going to do CGI, they're going to overdo it. It would just kind of kill the suspense of that movie for me a little bit. The terror of like, we don't quite know, like we know it's a shark, but we don't know what this beast is, you know?
This beast. I love this. The beast. Beast. Put the CGI in the beast. Spencer, Ed, what are your thoughts?
I mean, why, if they're trying to make it appeal to younger people, why stop with just improving the CGI? Like, have the mayor do the Fortnite dance. Like, CGI out his Dreyfuss's camera for an iPhone. Have Pitbull remix the da-da, so it just goes dale, dale. I mean, if you're going to try to completely ruin the movie so that tweens might know what Jaws is, like, ruin the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, I guess I have to play devil's advocate then, so this can be interesting. I personally find it an affront to my sensibilities that The Shallows has a better shark than Jaws. I think that's weird. Because like I watch movies like that, like even certain other movies that have like really great, these sharks look awesome now. And I think if they didn't overdo it, I think it could introduce it to other audience. Obviously, we would just be old fogies and be like, I don't like this newfangled. You know what? We would be like that regardless. But for young kids watching that, if they could watch that beautiful movie and just replace each crummy CGI shark with a good CGI shark, no more, no less. Each crummy shot with a good shot. I don't know how that would ruin anything, but you're right. They probably have the shark shoot first or something. So I get it.
I guess if both versions were available,
We've been down this road, Billy. We've been down this road with E.T. and Steven Spielberg openly said it was a mistake, and it was a mistake. They made E.T. into a cartoon. I will put, this is my opinion now, I will put the shark from the original Jaws, not the sequels, against any of those cartoon sharks that are in any of these shark movies nowadays. There's not ever been... no shark movie has had a shark that looks as convincing as that because they used it very fleetingly. It's an actual real object that exists in space and time and reality that you can see that was on set. And I don't think that any CGI shark has looked as convincing as the shark in that movie. It would be a detriment to that movie. It would ruin it. And I think that Universal is going to ignore this particular idea until it swims up and bites them in the ass. I love Richard Dreyfuss. He's a legend. He's been in many great movies. This is the worst idea I've heard in a really long time, and I just saw Venom.
But you liked Venom.
Which I liked, but it had numerous bad ideas in it that somehow made an alchemist way of working. It should not have worked. This is an awful idea. This is atrocious. This is an atrocious idea and an affront to cinema.
Well, I'd say maybe if some fan wanted to do it with footage from The Shallows and something else.
Deep Blue Sea.
Not Deep Blue Sea, damn it. No, those were Makos. Wake up, Spencer. It's not your birthday anymore. No, but, I just, like I said, I don't want to beat this dead horse, but like I was watching a trifle like The Shallows, and there were several times in there when the shark came out, his eyes are rolling back, the chomping is pretty good. He's sinewy. You know what I mean? They're even showing him like under the water. Like there's certain shock scenes where the shark in The Shallows jumps out of the water, and you see him if you go back and look at it frame by frame, they're CGIing him under the water, his shadow, and he pops up. It's like there's a lot of attention to detail, and I think some of these artists deserve a shot. But maybe this is more of a fan film thing than spend $200 million on a release and all this kind of jazz for a 1975 movie that already made more money than God.
You know,
I agree that that's
all
a bad
the way.
idea.
It looks almost as good as CGIing a shark under the water. Putting an actual thing that looks like a shark under the water and filming it.
You mean a bunch of barrels?
I was gonna say replace the barrels with Pete Davidson and Ariana Grande.
Well, replace Brody's gun with a walkie-talkie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we've seen the Star Wars special editions, which got, I think the first one generally, there were people had problems with Jabba, but the first one generally there wasn't a lot of pushback on. but they kept messing with them. But progressively, I think Jedi is probably the worst of them as far as adding stuff in. So they're mixed reception to the Star Wars special editions. E.T., like I said, Spielberg publicly came out and said this was a mistake and I should not have done this.
But we're also prejudiced against this idea because of, like you said, it's been done so poorly in the past. And all I'm positing is, theoretically, I think it could be done well. Because like when Han Solo steps on Jabba's fat tail and rises up as though pulled on marionette strings, that was disgusting. I mean, I think that would put a lot of people off of CGI forever. You know what I mean? Especially revisiting things with CGI. But everything doesn't have to be that bad. You know what I mean? It's like you watch college basketball and think that that's real basketball. Sorry, everybody who watches basketball.
Hey, solid fundamentals.
Our small Venn diagram of nerds who watch basketball and are nerdy about it like me. But like, I'm sorry, NBA basketball is way better than college basketball because they're executing better on every level and everybody's better at it. And I just feel like you can't just watch the horrible examples of it. But if Lucasfilm can't do it, why should Richard Dreyfuss and a band of merry men be able to do it? So I guess.
But where do you draw the line now? Do you go to The Thing? Do you go to Carpenter's The Thing and say, let's get all those animatronics out of there and all that practical work? Like, what are some movies that you guys? For me, it's Jaws. I would be protesting every theater somehow in the country that this atrocity was playing in. What are some movies for you guys? You're like, do not touch them. Like, if somebody said, "Oh, we're gonna go in and improve it," what are the ones that you would just kind of viscerally say, "Nope, can't do it, don't do it, won't do it"?
I think for me, and they actually cleaned it up a little bit, and then they pulled back for later releases. Was Raiders of the Lost Ark. There were a couple mistakes that they did fix that I'm fine with. There was like
the reflection
glass,
yeah.
They took out. They replaced a couple shots with updated CG, like a truck falling, and then for the Blu-ray they were like, sorry, we'll put it back. we'll put it back. But I think the charm in that movie is that everything feels like very handcrafted. So if they were like, oh, like we're gonna change the face melting and we're gonna have more CGI spirits coming out of the Ark, like I would be pretty upset by that.
Yeah. So Raiders for Billy. Spencer?
I guess probably like a RoboCop or something like that. Like even the guy's weird long arms when he falls out the building. Like it's part of the handmade charm of that movie is that it just looks like dirty and cobbled together and kind of like it just fits the universe so well to have kind of grimy special effects. I'd say similarly with Verhoeven, I don't think effects have ever gotten better than Starship Troopers. They went into such amazing detail, as we talked to with Casper Van Dien, of animating like little dust clouds over every like little tentacle poke on the ground. Yeah. Like it isn't so much that technology has surpassed it; it's just that the attention to detail was so much better back then. Or on that movie they had the time and the will to actually really get in deep on that. So don't touch it.
Well, and also in Starship Troopers, they use a lot of practical heads, like when the heads would come and chomp on somebody. Yeah. That was Dan Winston or whoever the hell making a big chompy mouth out of paper mache or whatever. I don't know.
You know what other movie uses practical heads with big chompy mouths? Jaws.
Well, Casper Van Dien.
For a second, I thought you were going to say Venom, and I was like, I don't think so, man.
Not so practical. And what's one movie that you would be like, nope, not doing it?
I think Spencer took mine, honestly. RoboCop. Or, Conan the Barbarian. Like a deep cut. But I really feel like they do a bunch of optical stuff and a bunch of weird stuff. Like there's a part where Thulsa Doom makes a snake into an arrow. And they just sort of put a snake down, shake it out, and then just real quick cut, and it's a piece of wood. You know what I mean? There's something charming about that. And also, The Last Dragon. Don't mess with the glow. The glow is an optical effect. It's not CGI. Don't put the glow on Bruce Leroy with CGI.
Real.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Well, those are the handcrafted movies that we don't want to see changed in any way, or at least certainly not these ways. And Richard Dreyfuss, you are a legend, and you're a great actor, and this was a atrocious idea. Moving on to the next story.
Wait, before we move on, can I say one thing that
of course
I absolutely need Warner Brothers to change?
Yes.
I'm not big on CGI changes, but I'm about to ruin Tim Burton's Batman for you if you don't know this already exists, because you can never unsee it. The 30th anniversary is this summer.
Yes.
Please put it back out on 4K and fix this. When the Joker's first revealed on his jacket, his white makeup started coming off. So instead of rubbing the makeup off, they took purple polish and put it on the jacket, which then ends up on his neck, which now whenever you see it, you will not be able to unsee the big purple smear on Jack Nicholson's neck that is so distracting in one of the coolest reveals in any of those Batman movies.
Fix that neck.
Fix
that
hashtag fix the neck,
that
Warner Brothers.
neck.
I won't be mad if you CGI that out.
I watched the behind the scenes, and I also now I love that shot.
You can't
Call
unsee
me
it.
Joker.
Yeah.
All I can see is
Purple.
Yeah.
It's like
Purple
a
neck.
purple neck, 30th anniversary.
Hickey from Grimace.
Hashtag fix the neck.
hashtag fix the neck.
that
All
neck.
right.
Hickey from Grimace. Yeah, that's funny.
I think okay, good. Then we've all agreed on one fix that
Yes.
we would like. WB, after you release the Snyder Cut, hashtag fix that neck. Guys, we talked about Narnia a little bit last week, and it's official. Netflix is on board with the Narnia franchise. This was a fan question last week. Netflix has announced that they are going to develop...
Oh!
That's happening. It's our presidential
Yep.
alert. No action is needed.
This is a
That's
test
debatable.
He
of the
says,
National Wireless Emergency Alert System.
I could have had Melanie Griffith in her prime. Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you, President Trump.
The nation now knows. The president could have had Melania.
I wonder if this is going to get abused for
know,
just
right?
terrible, like 3 o'clock in the morning. And another thing.
Yeah.
Well, no, but that message and all of us turning to look at our phones, that was real Kingsman. You know what I mean? That really freaked me out.
I bet our international viewers are like, what the hell is happening?
This is what happens
what are
in
they
America
talking
now.
about?
Yeah, we
They
all
just test the presidential. It literally says the presidential alert system. That apparently exists now. I refer to that as having CNN push notices on my phone. Same thing. Okay, Netflix is developing a new TV series and film projects based on C.S. Lewis's The Chronicles of Narnia series. They announced on today was Wednesday, right? They announced today. Netflix and the C.S. Lewis Company signed a multi-year deal, marking the first time that one company has held the rights to all 7 Narnia books. They want to build out a Narnia cinematic universe that encompasses film and TV, much like Star Trek and Marvel have done and are doing, that can cross over between mediums. We've talked about the fact that Amazon is producing Lord of the Rings series. Now Netflix has their own major fantasy franchise, potentially to rival that. Narnia versus this is the debate that's been had in basements around the world for decades now. Narnia versus Lord of the Rings. But this is a franchise that did not work out very well with Disney. It ran out of steam after I think 3 movies.
Well, 2 movies, because the third one went to Fox.
Did the third, yeah, well, right.
Yeah.
But like 2 movies came out of Disney, then the third one came out to Fox, totally tanked, and they made no more.
Right.
So this is a franchise that completely sort of petered out. What do you think? Can Netflix course correct now that they've officially done it? We have to assume that they're going to throw a lot of money behind this. Do you think they can succeed where major studios have failed very recently?
I don't know. Narnia is tough. I loved those books when I was a kid. I think it is kind of like Lord of the Rings light. Much more heavy-handed with its like religious themes and tones, which I think is going to be harder for like a general public to swallow. Like Aslan literally is God or Jesus and says like, look for me in your real world. Like it's very like it doesn't try to hide its religious iconography, whereas like Lord of the Rings, it's like there you can tell it's like a little bit of different things. So culturally it I don't know if it hit the right tone at the time, but I also think too like there are 7 books. There aren't like, as far as I remember, there aren't a ton of like appendices or anything. So I don't know how you're gonna like cross over movies and TV, and I don't think it should be like a Lord like
universe.
violent.
Does the Bible count as an appendix to the Chronicles of Narnia?
I mean, according to Aslan, yes.
I mean, have you seen
Maybe.
VeggieTales? They can spin it off in anything, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember much about Narnia. I read it in 6th or 7th grade, and I was uninterested in the movies, and I'm uninterested in this. This is the one with the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Turkish Delight and stuff like that.
The Chronic What Clothes of Narnia.
The Chronic What Culls of Narnia. This seems like a huge, insane investment into something that had already fizzled out. But I do trust Netflix and their algorithm to be like, well, your eye flutters 60% less when you're watching, a high-budget fantasy. So we have a chance to really own this. So, yeah, I think that it'll probably be a success because I just really do believe that they know what their own audience wants, even though that's not me.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I maybe it's cultural or something, but I don't mess with Lord of the Rings or C.S. Lewis. I know it's gonna get a bunch of hate, more hate than I already get for my Batman takes and everything else about me. But like, I don't get it, bro. I don't get it. I don't get the Jesus lion. I don't get. I don't understand the appeal. I think if they go full bore Christian. Just like Aslan has a gospel choir, you know what I mean? Like just go nuts, and the wood nymphs all have choir robes on or whatever. Go full Christian is what I'm saying. Like the Left Behind series or something like that. I think that they could strike a chord with an audience doing something like that.
God friended me,
Yeah,
we're having a moment,
dude. While you both, that's what people do. If you go full Christian, you can make some money. So if they go full Christian, I think this might be able to be successful. But as an inferior fantasy product, which I think most people think of it as, I don't see the point in this large investment like Spencer was saying. This is a huge investment to lose to Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I agree with you in the sense, and that's what I was trying to say is like, I think in order to open it up into this cinematic universe, you kind of have to change like the core themes of it and what it's all about to expand it in that way, and I don't know how successful that'll be. But then again, they redid Lost in Space, which everyone had written off after the 98 movie, and they took a new turn on it. So yeah, you never know. There's a lot to mine there. Like I know you may think it's like inferior. I actually thought the first couple movies from Disney's Narnia were great, but Prince Caspian opened up in the biggest, crowdedest summer I've ever seen of 2008, and it just got swallowed alive. And if they had held to Christmas, I think that would have been a different story for the Disney Narnia movies.
Do you think it's a good idea for them to start over? Do you go back to Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe? Do you have to now tell that story again, even though you had a film that made over $700 million worldwide 10 years ago?
Yeah, in a series, you can dwell a little bit on the minutia, which I think is why the Lord of the Rings project is a viable project. Because for me, maybe somebody like me would like Tom Bombadil. Maybe Tom Bombadil is going to be a badass with arrows or something. I don't know. Yeah. But the bottom line is, maybe I would like to see Tom Bombadil. Maybe I would like to take some of the Flights of Fancy, the little different paths.
He's
that
basically
are in the
Kanye for Lord of the Rings.
And make Middle Earth great again.
But you have to remember too that Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is the first book, but it's not where the story of Narnia starts. I think like the history of Narnia goes to like The Magician's Nephew and A Boy and His Horse, which are like books like 5 and 6. So you could start with the mythology of Narnia, like instead of having to like redo Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe over again right off the bat.
Do you think this is a good investment for Netflix to kind of not double down, because they've doubled down everywhere else, but to sort of say, we are going to cover all of Narnia comprehensively, multiple spinoffs, multiple movies? You think this is a smart bet, or is this just an arms race and they have to equip themselves as much as the competitors?
Yeah, it's got to be a little of both. I mean, they're so smart about what they choose to produce, and they have these kind of like test shows, and they see if they do well, and they find out if there's an appetite for it, and then they make the big push. And this is something that, I think that Netflix things have a lower barrier to entry than other kinds of TV and film, certainly, where it's like, all right, it's there. I will watch it just because it's there, and I've seen, every episode of Nailed It. So it's like, okay, fine. I'm just going to click one over. So it'll definitely get eyeballs on it and, keep my subscription alive for one more month. And
I mean, there's so many universes where when they make them into movies, they have to cut out so much of the so-called minutia, so much of the connective tissue that make the story work as a book or a series of books, that's why these are worthwhile endeavors to me. Like I think maybe people hate Orson Scott Card. A lot of people hate him as a person, but as an author, the Enders
great
books,
author, man.
Yeah, right. The dissonance, the cognitive dissonance between what his artist and as a person.
That was a tough day.
It's Kanye-esque. But the thing is, I like in the Ender's books, I've read like all of them. I read the Bean trilogy. I read a lot of that stuff. And if they just took it slow and let us see him train in the battle camp and get good at the stuff, and then do the alien stuff, and then 500 years in the future he's still alive and he's doing stuff. And if they just took it slow, people would love that Ender series. But they just jammed everything in that movie, slapped it all together. Harrison Ford reading his lines off a cue card like like Orson Welles in a commercial.
I need you to do what? Space? I need you to fight in space.
And they let him keep his earring in, but they made it a communicator or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's for talking to people.
So yeah, if they would just, some of these things that they could just take it slow, they'd be awesome.
It's hard to believe, looking back on where we are with streaming. Like, we started with like Lilyhammer and The Man in the High Castle, and we're now moving to competing Lord of the Rings, Narnia, multiple series, $100 million franchise. It's like that. It's like when Commissioner Gordon is telling Batman, like, we carry semi-automatics, they carry automatics. Like, we start wearing Kevlar, they armor pierce. Where does this go? Where does this end? Like, how this is escalating quickly. It's like Anchorman. This is escalating quickly. What's the top of this mountain look like?
I mean, it's Ready Player One. Everything is Ready Player One because we've almost reached the singularity as far as adaptations and like anything with any pop cultural significance. We've mined toys, we've mined board games, we've mined old movies, we've mined old TV shows. Pretty soon we're gonna, much like the planet, just strip it to the absolute bones. We're gonna pick the skeleton clean, and then we're just gonna have to mash things together like a dumb nerd t-shirt.
I actually have an interesting prediction for what the ripped of streaming services.
Everything will just be like, all right, well, this and this now.
I have an interesting prediction what will be like the final biggest bidding thing. And I actually think the content will seem smaller, but the prices will be exorbitant.
This is the last great.
I think this will be the last great fight. I think Amazon and Netflix and all them are going to try to be the first to do a major like pay-per-view, like Mayweather versus McGregor, like a big live pay-per-view, like probably boxing, De La Hoya, whatever. I think that's going to be the last, like, it doesn't seem as big as a full sprawling Lord of the Rings, but you're talking millions, if not billions of dollars, like in pay-per-view revenue. Netflix can be like, we'll take that. And I think that's what's going to be the final thing.
Sure, and also thinking more about it, there is like, if there is the budget and the appetite for it, there's so many science fiction and fantasy book franchises that never got adapted. There's way more than Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones. So if this is a thing that can hit on TV and serialized, like that's almost endless.
Or we'll just get like the Dean Koontz cinematic universe.
Koontz versus the airport novel universe.
DKCU, yes. and then Amazon's got the Clancy, the Clancy cinematic universe. So you get the JCCU and the DKCU.
Danielle Steele throwing a little spice in there.
I think also one thing we might see in the future, and maybe this is the far-flung future, but I imagine some of these people they're consolidating and gathering properties to such a degree that they're going to have to start making a crossover. Like WB buys Sherlock Holmes, and then Sherlock Holmes meets Batman. Like it's a series. Like it's a series that's six episodes.
Comics
it's really,
it. And they do some weird, like Batman, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was one from a year or so ago. Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah, I think that'll happen. I think we're going to see it on streaming services so they can test it out. And if people love it, then it's like big movies of it that come out every couple years. Like, Batman and the Turtles are into it again. Somebody, the case of the missing pizza.
Yeah. Well, until Splinter and Alfred can compare notes and commiserate, you're going to have to be happy with Narnia.
Sir, this rat is surprisingly genteel.
He made a funny, sir.
See what happens. Guys, we have so much fun stuff on Screen Junkies and Screen Junkies News. You can see our review of Venom. Danielle Radford and I got to go live last night and review Venom. I think our thoughts might surprise you. That is up now. I believe we're going to have a spoiler review with myself and Roth and whomever else might have seen the movie by then up this weekend. Roth's Venom, A Star is Born. There's a review coming this week. I know she's very excited to do a review for that. I haven't had a chance to see that, but she saw it, and I think she's pretty excited about that, so look for that. And Billy, tomorrow, we love doing this because we love to scout and find new talent. There is a Movie Fights debut deathmatch tomorrow. 9 new contestants have never been on movie fights before. We'll be battling it out for our first ever movie fights trophy.
Yeah, we got a trophy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Billy, would you like to reveal who our 9 movie fighters are?
Yeah, I'm excited. I think some of these people you may have seen in passing or in other things. One, Clee Wiggins. She's very funny, and someone at the table knows her. Eric Barnes, Tournament of Nerds.
Nothing, Ed? Nothing?
No, just poker facing it. We have
Don't show any favoritism.
we have Cameron Rice, Julia Prescott, very funny. Andrew Guy, you probably know him from the Schmodown. Also from the Schmodown, the Inner Geekdom champion. Mara Nopik is going to be on the show. Kanopik.
That I do know.
Okay. Sorry, that is canon.
Trust me.
Vanessa Gritton, she's great. Keely, she's from Fandom.
Yeah.
She is
writer.
she was on Good Morning America just the other day. And our very own, he's been on TV fights. But he did really well.
He did?
He did really well.
Okay.
But he's never done movie fights. He was the one of the older producer movie fights, Max Dion.
Wow.
Producer Max is stepping
Max
in.
in front of the
Producer
camera.
Max.
Yeah.
Producer Max.
Now I'm told I will be judging.
Spencer Gilbert, you will be the host.
That is exciting. I'll try to get over my preconceived Max bias, anti-Max bias. I will remain relatively impartial. It'll be hard to not just treat it like Next on MTV. As soon as he gets in the chair, just point out.
Get out.
I mean, it's your show. You can TKO. Just know the comments will
No, he'll
find
bring
you.
it. I'm sure he'll bring it.
Yeah, he I'm very excited, and yeah, we have a trophy.
That's a great lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all of these people have seem to have experience with takes. Like every single person on here, I know a take that they have. Every single person. So it seems like they're all well equipped to.
Takes are going to fly.
Yeah.
I think that Mara Kanopik is one to watch. She debuted on the Schmodown this year, won the Inner Geekdom title. Trust me, she's.
Will you be abstaining from weighing in?
I have. I don't know what you're talking about, but yes, I will be abstaining from particular rounds that perhaps I may be hard for me to be completely impartial. So, but yeah, I will certainly be watching and enjoying.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Ed, are you going to give Clee some advice before she goes in? I mean, she's got both Mara and Clee. They have expert trainers that can help them at least give them some tips.
Mara doesn't need any training. She's got this all on her own.
Mara's a great competitor. I think one thing I just tried to impart is there's going to be some pressure, but don't allow yourself to feel it. Allow yourself to feel that you got to get this point out. This is my shit. Sorry. And also, this is it's going to be one round. So it's not like you're one round and then another one maybe. So it's not like the intensity of a full movie fight, but that's what the greatness of this format. And I debuted on this format. Yeah. So and got beat up the first time, and then I went in the gym with a Clubber Lang and did some sit-ups in the dark, and then I came back, and I was a lot better, and now I'm one of the better fighters, I think. So I think these people all have the potential to do that. Yeah, you went from debut deathmatch to title shot. So one of these people could be challenging for your title down the road.
That's very possible. That could get super weird.
Yeah,
depending on who it is.
Yeah, that could get super weird. The ride home from that one is like, oh god.
We'll see.
They threw you that Jaws question. This is biased. She gets on the message boards. This is fixed.
She's Kara Monopic.
my alter ego, Mandurl.
Mandurl. Well, that's it.
There you go. All right, so
that's
your lineup. That's your lineup for tomorrow's debut deathmatch. I hope you enjoy that. I think you will. That is a great lineup. A lot of great competitors. I'm excited to see how they fight. Thank you for watching SJU. Roth will be back tomorrow, I think. There's so much going on.
Which will be on Press Play on Friday.
Press Play on
NPR
NPR here in Los Angeles. That's great. So check out Press Play on Friday. Check us out tomorrow. Check out our Venom review right now, and check out everything else we've got going on. Stay tuned. So much fun stuff always. Thank you guys for joining. Happy belated birthday, Spencer.
Thank you.
We won't Molly Ringwald you next year, I promise.
And I must say, Billy Business's episode of the Nerd Goat podcast is killing it.
Oh,
And I would
Oh,
love
thank
for
you.
all the people who may not have listened to it to at least listen to my podcast for Billy. NerdGoatPodcast.com, Nerd Goat Podcast on iTunes. Billy killed it talking about Indiana Jones.
Nice.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Billy. Check out Billy on the NeuroGoat podcast. And if you get a ding from your phone, it's either us with a new video or the president. Thank you for watching. See you next time.